Welcome everyone, Cuisine here with Teclis of the High Elves in Total War Warhammer 3, Immortal Empires, and how to make his campaign quote-unquote more playable than it is. To be certain, it still will not be a great campaign, but you can certainly do quite a few things in order to improve your situation that you're dealing with. Don't fight this battle manually, that's a greater demon. You probably will actually take more casualties. This is one of the few battles in the game where auto-resolving it may actually be the smart decision. Or you could fight it manually, regardless of that. And yes, then go take this element. You don't want to sack this element, it might be worth a good amount of money, but you want to take advantage of that growth from the port as quickly as possible. And then you want to start recruiting archers, spearmen, etc. Now, in Teclis' campaign, the big problem that exists in this specific campaign is, of course, Kairos Fate Weaver. So what you want to do over here is you want to declare war on him. The reason you want to declare war on Kairos is because of his settlement stealing nonsense. And you want to prevent Kairos from doing so. He cannot do that settlement stealing if you're at war with him. He also can't give it to another faction if you're at war with that other faction as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the load save character system and administrator archmages. I'd recommend playing Alfarian's campaign. Yes, Warden in the Punch is a must-have DLC if you're going to make this work for the Archmage Lords. Play that campaign, save up a bunch of Archmage Lords, and what you want to do with the first one you get is, if I toggle Fog of War, you can see this faction over here. Kairos can also trade this element to them as well, potentially, unless you're at war with them as well. And it's gonna be worth pointing out something here. While certainly Kairos will attack you, the fact that you declare war immediately on all of these factions will kind of freeze these factions. See, the AI doesn't know exactly how to handle a naval invasion properly. So by the time they actually do attack you with their forces, you will have plenty of time to set things up. So you can go over here and deal with this Sinchian faction. Keep in mind, you do get an objective soon enough to fight 2 battles against the Sinchian faction for one of Teclis' quest items. And you also get quests to battles to fight against the Skaven. There is a Skaven faction to the east. This is what you want to do on turn 1. Then you want to go take this settlement right here. If we look at the settlement, you should be able to take it over here very, very quickly. You may even want to loot and occupy that settlement to guarantee a rebellion right there. Now, fun fact about these Archmage Lords with Administrator. When you load a character like this, it won't take effect immediately until you end the turn, or until you save and load the save in a campaign in order to make this work. So just worth keeping that in mind about the load save character system in general. Usually I would not recommend saving and loading like this because your faction strength will be recalculated when you reload, but it will also activate the trait. And by the way, the AI does make decisions based on faction strength. So what do you want to do after this point once you secure your initial province? What you want to do is go sack the settlement of Caverns of Sotik. The reason you want to do so is because you sack in one turn, you occupy it the next turn, and this gives you the Moonstaff of Lilith quest objective. It won't give you money, unfortunately, but it will be worth it. And it hopefully will give you enough levels so you can get the War Crown of Sapphire quest. This is an ambush. I firmly recommend you fight that manually. You can't really auto-resolve it without taking significant casualties. But the important thing is this will grant you vision with Gorok. And you want to use that vision. You can also get the peace agreement with the Skaven over here relatively quickly if you want to. And you don't have to deal with them because Krokgar will deal with them. You also want to declare war on Tic-Tac-Toe. Don't worry about that. You can get the peace agreement and the declaration of war against Warzag if that's what you're interested. But keep in mind, you don't want Kairos to detect a lot of factions because any faction that he sees, he can use against you. and so you want to be mindful of that. Also, you may not want to recruit as many archers as I did over here. Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake in my part. Now, what do you want to do here? Well, you want to start making your way towards these lizardmen. Don't get a peace agreement, don't get a non-aggression pact, don't get anything like that. And you just want to ping-pong between these wars for your own benefit in this campaign, because you might declare war on a faction. From Itza, you'll have vision with Gorok. Do that, get that vision, use that vision, and then get peace agreements as well with these factions, and then declare war, and back and forth. The lizardmen are going to like you for the most part, so they will be easy enough to make peace with if you so desire. Another thing worth pointing out is that one of the few advantages of this location is, due to the way the AI works and naval invasions and so on and so forth, you can lure Kairos into attacking you. Ambush stance is a powerful tool. And while the ambush success chance in your initial province is not necessarily great, it does start going up very freaking high the moment you start going north into the jungle towards Warzag. So that is one of the things you actually want to do in this campaign. Go after Warzag, get a noble, those kind of things, right? I'd recommend a noble with frugal, and if you're worried about money, yeah, just dismiss some of these archers, right? No problem, just sort that out. Fight the quest battle when you can, right? When you have the forces. A full stack like this will be able to defeat that, and eventually Kairos will attack you in this campaign, but his armies won't really be that strong. And yeah, you can get the barracks over here, get the peace agreement with the Skaven at one point. I probably would not recommend doing it now. Or maybe you could do it now because you'll get enough money so that you won't actually go bankrupt. Because like, you sell this, that is worth 1,200. It might say that you would take attrition damage. You might, you may not. Obviously the quest battle itself could give you enough. You may want to risk fighting the quest battle with this specific army, or use a lord following Teclis to recruit archers along the way so he has a full stack so you can deal with the War Crown of Safari quest battle. Fighting that quest battle as quickly as possible is a benefit in this campaign. Now what Kairos will do is he'll probably land 1 or 2 armies against you, though he'll probably land 1 army at a time on your shores, either next to his port or trying to get next to his settlement. If you lay with Teclis in ambush over here, for instance, as an example, while the ambush won't be great, Kairos will still land on your shores, and then you can go out and destroy him. A noteworthy thing about Tzeentchian armies, just to point this out, actually I can't see his army right there, but a lot of the stuff that Kairos does recruit, actually if we look at the recruitment buildings he does have, he'll recruit a bunch of units with very low armor. So you can actually auto-resolve this even on Legendary. And what you want to do once you've defeated 2 stacks, because he'll probably send 2 stacks, that's how it works. He'll send 2 stacks against you, that's what he can afford. You wait for that opportunity while taking over this province over here, wait for that opportunity, then sail over here. That's the point where you want to use the invocation of Isha to give you casualty replenishment, immune to attrition especially. Come over here, take these settlements, sell them to this faction of Slaanesh, and then declare war on this faction of Slaanesh so Kairos may not steal other settlements. Or you can ignore doing so. What you're really after over here is you want to give Oxyatl the breathing space to deal with Kairos. See, taking this territory from Kairos, you could defeat them, but that's the painful option. But you know Oxyatl is coming from the west. You know he hates Kairos. You know he's going to end up in a war with Kairos, so you can take advantage of that. And meanwhile, you're building up your stuff over here, instant construction, free construction, etc. Setting up a very high ambush chance so that when Warzag does show up, if he does show up, assuming you're lucky enough that he's besieging over here tic-tac-toe, or even if he shows up with more armies, you can set up a very high ambush over here with your forces. Just don't crowd the shoreline. Be mindful of that, because you want him to land. And when he does land with his forces, he typically won't come over here, but either way, you got an 80% ambush success chance. You got a bunch of archers, regular archers I recruited over here because I did get rid of the barracks. You can successfully obliterate stack after stack after stack that Warzag does send. Because the AI is not making decisions based on the army you have over here. They can't see that, or maybe they can, but they're certainly not making decisions based on that. They're making decisions based on what's visible. So while you're constructing and deconstructing buildings, because that's one of the things you can do. You can deconstruct these buildings to get more money to push your economy. You can absolutely take advantage of what Warzag is doing over here to just get a lot of money, get a lot of power, and eventually actually take him out, take his settlements out. One interesting tidbit about this entire location is the province that you have over here in the southern jungles. Actually, the settlement here, the region here in the north goes all the way here. So you can recruit troops and set up ambushes and replenish those losses all the way to this point. That is fairly close to his capital. His capital is kind of a nightmare to deal with, especially with that rogue idol over there, but not necessarily an undoable one. He might have a rogue idol in the garrison. He might recruit some rogue idols, but if you ambush his armies, you can even deal with rogue idols with auto-resolve. Like, you may not have to fight a lot of battles manually, or very few, or when you're caught out of position. My recommendation, don't fight the rogue idol face-to-face. That's gonna hurt you quite a bit, at least with the secondary army. Like, Teclis can deal with that. Your other armies can't. And yeah, try and keep these archmages alive. And keep them on the border between these provinces, because you want to move them back and forth to develop these provinces effectively. And another quest battle you'll get may give you vision with Ulfwan over here, so that's something you can use, but don't think that you're gonna get a high chance of confederation with Ulfwan, because the way confederation with Ulfwan works is that it's relying on you controlling a lot of Ulfwan in order to make that work. So if you want confederation with Ulfwan factions, be prepared to go over there. Also, yeah, you might be able to get some of these declarations of war and then peace with Lizardmen to give you even more money. So you don't want to deal with Warzag. You're not going to save Tic-Tac-Toe. Like, honestly, you should be long dead right now. I kind of lucked out in this campaign situation. And then you will feel the full force of Warzag. Or you could not declare war on him and take your time, though that depends on whether or not that you afford it. Usually Warzag will head north as opposed to heading south, though, unless you provoke him. Do you want to provoke him? I kind of say so. Yeah, I would say so. It's actually beneficial if he comes at you with one army or two armies at a time. Also keep in mind, because of all the naval activity you have next to you, there are chances that you can get a lot of money through these treasures that lie over here. Your ultimate objective is to get your campaign in a situation similar to this. That might be Warzag over there, but this army should be able to auto-resolve against him. I mean, I was able to auto-resolve against this capital on Legendary. That was a bit interesting. But he certainly fed me a lot of armies. And money-wise, you can constantly sell structures you're building. But what are you after in terms of structures? Why use the load save characters instead of other than administrators and all that? Well, here's what you're really after in this campaign. One, you want to get military advancements and hopefully get light FLMR armor, and then yeah, recall colonist martial law. But what you're really interested here is getting to tier 4, getting cultural advancements, and then Maritime Empire. Because Maritime Empire will give you vision with all sea regions. That means you can declare war on very distant factions without any kind of consequences. Over here, I wouldn't hold on to this province. I don't think it's worth it, especially with, yeah, climate change mod, whatever, but you don't want to hold on to this settlement. It's not worth the effort. And yeah, here, I made a peace agreement with the Sinnelleos faction. Pay the price for that. And pay the price in the sense that Kairos did see this. He took it, gave it to the Sinnelleos, even though he's wiped out. But this is the ultimate goal, what you want to achieve in this campaign. Axial will take down Kairos. He'll then go against the Sinnelleos faction. You can be good friends with him, and you want to get those sea regions vision. While also having a noble, a high mage, etc. Regular mages can also have the administrator trait in a campaign, so that's what you're aiming for. And since you're using all your influence through the load save character, since you're not using any influence because of the load save character system, you can instead spend the influence to try and improve your relationship with various factions. That's something that's very doable. By the way, you might face a first wave from Kairos, just kind of worth saying that. You might face a first wave from Kairos, defeat that with Teclis, but then after that, you kind of want to move Teclis quickly north. However, once you get settlements to tier 3, you can actually auto-resolve with the garrisons in a couple of units, or an army like this if you want to. Like, yeah, I just recruited whatever was available. I couldn't even recruit archers over here because I didn't have a barracks. I just recruited a Ladder and Seaguard, and I was able to auto-resolve against a full stack of Kairos. At least for Dawn's Light. I had an actual battle at the Fortress of Dawn. Sometimes the auto-resolve is very, very weird in that respect. By the way, if you want, whenever you're faced in a situation where you're not satisfied with the auto-resolve calculation, you can redo that calculation by changing an item, for instance, on one of your lords or heroes or something like that. But what you want to do here is get to tier 4. And that's where the fun begins, because that is when you can load handmaidens in your campaign, or recruit them, even. Where you're interested is the Fecund trait. This gives you 50 growth in the local province. Basically, you want to get this as high as possible. Get to tier 4 through the growth structures, through the growth commandment, for the 2 ports you do have over here. That will help you get to tier 4 faster than you might otherwise. Get to tier 4, get Maritime Empire, and then you want to push for tier 5. Also, you may want to push this province. You may want to move those handmaids over here in the southern jungles, so you can grow this province faster as well, in order to get more handmaids and just keep spiraling things out of control. Worth saying, however, this will not be a fast campaign. Like, over here you can see I've only taken 14 regions. All the factions I had to kill are killed, but it's only 14 different settlements that have been affected. So this will be a slower campaign. What do you do after this? Well, Camry is not worth it. I would poke Manfred to a certain extent, and the reason is help Volkmar, help him take some of this territory, sell it to him. Volkmar can be an ally, Rapans can be an ally. You can get along well with both of them in a campaign like this, not a problem. So they can hold the north, especially if you help them out occasionally. But don't venture too far north, your replenishment is going to suck. You're going to have a lot of issues doing so. Keep that in mind about this campaign. And let me just show you what happens once you get Maritime Empire. So a couple of turns later, Teclis is on his way towards Luther Harkon to take his territory in Lustria. By the way, your campaign objectives do require you to actually go to Lustria, or long campaign victory conditions at least do require you to go to Lustria. As for vision, well, you get vision on pretty much the entire world with regards to Maritime Empire, and that just gives you a lot of freaking money available in your campaign that you can use. Also, trading partners. Again, it's going to be difficult to actually confederate Ulfuan for a number of reasons. Like even Illyrian, who's very weak, and I have good relations with, is just not willing to confederate very, very easily. But yeah, you do have these kind of declarations of war. Sadly enough, you just don't really have a lot of terrain capabilities. So yeah, heading over to Lustria is probably your best bet. You can make a good deal with both Axial and Marcus Wolfhard. It's help them out, right? Maybe sell them some territory, make the Order Tide over here in Lustria, deal with Skulltaker if you want. But even then, it's gonna be a hell of a fucking time getting these victory conditions unlocked unless things go really badly for Ulfuan. Over here, they've gone slower, like, they've actually gone pretty badly over here for whatever reason. It's like, Nakari's taken Tour of Rest. That does happen occasionally. Not common, but it does kind of happen. Well, I guess we also have rogue armies and Morathi and what have you over there. But yeah, I guess we might have to save Ulfuan over here. You never know what you're gonna get in a campaign. I do find it a weird tendency, by the way, when I'm playing a particular faction in a race, or I'm playing a Legendary Lord in a race, sometimes the race I'm playing can do well, other times they can do really poorly. You might benefit from them doing really poorly, as opposed to all of Ulfuan being under High Elven control by this point. That's all I had to say. In terms of a skill line, it kind of is whatever you want it to be. Personally, like with Teclis, I would not really use Teclis for magic. I would use the High Mage for magic. I mean, Teclis can cast a lot of spells, but the really powerful ones, he doesn't have them. Like, yeah, maybe Flock of Doom, Chain Lightning, really, but yeah, I would get Merchant Lord, Bowmaster, his special skill line over here, specifically the Ward Save for Lore Masters of Hoeth and Mages, that's pretty useful. And yeah, just everything over here is useful. I would say his items are worth it far more than his skill line, by the way, because you get Spell Resistance, Cooldown to Spells, Scroll of Hoeth, Regrowth, Winds of Magic Cost, etc. That can be worth it. But really, Hero Capacity 1 for mages, Hero Recruit rank for mages, Ward Save, etc., etc., Mage Recruitment, all provinces. That's all I had to say. Questine signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more. Keep in mind, the Sword of Teclis is the one that gives you vision with Calador in a campaign that usually will translate into vision with Tyrion, unless things have gone completely off the rails. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But always keep in mind that aspect with these quest battles like War Crown and Sword of Teclis, because they can really help you out when you're struggling for money in a campaign. Stay tuned for more.